Hello and welcome to Michael's Minty Music for today. Today we review INXS's 1985 album, Listen Like Thieves. It's definitely good, certainly a solid album from them here. This is the track listing, and these are the tracks added to my playlist, 10 out of 11, all of them except track 8, which is an instrumental track. This album's pretty good, although weirdly, despite having mostly good tracks, it doesn't flow particularly amazingly. There isn't a ton of variety in speeds. Everything is either slowish or a little bit fast. It kind of is all in the median range. Starts out pretty good with the first 3 tracks, but then it slows down into sort of a slosh of mid-speed songs. Then for the last tracks on the album, it speeds up again, leading into Red Red Sun, which is one of the faster tracks on the album. And that doesn't really make sense at all as the final track. It's kind of a mess that way. Even though pretty much all the tracks here are good, most of them aren't distinct enough to add much texture to the overall album. It kind of just sounds like a straight line. It's very samey by the middle of the album, and most of the tracks here are simply not unique enough when compared to all of the other ones. Individually, most of the tracks are good, though. They're all mid-80s pop rock tunes, which all sound pretty decent. They're definitely more on the rock side than pop, but you would not be, this is not hard rock for sure. Most of the stuff here isn't particularly incredible, but it's pretty much all good when taken sort of individually. There was only one single released before the album, the opening track, What You Need, which was their first big US hit and was definitely on the radio at the time. Additionally, my favorite track here is that same one, What You Need. It easily outperforms the rest of the album, which really hurts the flow because it's the first track. It's quite literally all downhill from there. I rank this album 8th out of INXS's 11 albums, only above 3 other albums and below most of their other work. This album could probably be a bit higher, but I really feel it's just not super interesting overall. The quality is high and the songs are all pretty good on their own, but as a whole album, the flow is all wrong, and thus it loses out against albums which have lower quality but kind of manage to come together well, like the Swing and Shabu Shuba, which both kind of have a little bit more texture and are more interesting as albums. Listen Like Thieves has no texture as an album. It's pretty much just a straight sort of flat line of decent, good songs, but they all sound the same. The quality is still high enough to beat out most of their 90s work though, which those albums not only are lower quality, but they don't come together well or have a good flow. So this is basically the last of INXS's good albums in the ranking. Everything below this is just all right. However, this album does take my top spot from 1985, although the only competition here is Sting's debut album, The Dream of the Blue Turtles, which is decent, but it's not really my favorite style. Sting is good, but I prefer INXS just from a genre perspective. So Listen Like Thieves is my favorite here. Next up is Talking Heads' 1985 album, Little Creatures. We're getting towards the end of their career discography here, so it'll be interesting to hear what they sound like in the late 80s. So stay tuned for that, and as always, stay minty.